everyone. Hello everyone. Felix here. Yeah, I'm doing so. Hey, Halo. Yeah, nice to see you back. But yeah, I wasn't originally going to stream today, but I decided today's a slower day. I haven't been. I originally intended to take the week off. I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna spurg out. Just gonna spurg out over cars. And unfortunately, I will be doing so I'm being very professionally unprofessional right now, and eating my lunch on stream, which again is something I don't like to do. It's something I don't tend to do, but I'm gonna have to do it at some point. So, pardon me if I do start talking slow, but you will see. But yeah, so yeah, today was a slower day. Decided, you know what, I'm gonna just stream anyway. So, hold on, let me go pull up chat and turn on my fan because there's a roaring thunderstorm outside and it's blazing warm in here. Yes, even for Florida. But actually, you know what? I decided, well, I don't really have a script or anything. I just pulled up a lot of cars that I like to look at. But this is where I got the thumbnail, and I've seen the photos of this place a couple times, but I've never actually looked into it. This is because because I saw it with the I like, if you can tell, like a lot of the most of this would have like been able to cobble together and prepare is American muscle cars, which is admittedly are my favorite type of car, in full honesty. Hold on, let me pull up chat. So, oh yeah, let's learn about this. Whatever. Getting to the event, home, about us. So this is the Muscle Car and Corvette National. So this is apparently, I guess I guess they like their Chevys here. But ironically enough, the reason how I found out about this place was because they featured a lot of Fords, specifically Mercuries, Lincolns, and that sort of thing. As producers, the muscle of the So where does this take place? Rosemont, Illinois. So it's around Chicago, I think. Getting to the event. Yeah, downtown Rosemont, Illinois. So let's see the gallery. Let's see the gallery about this place. Older vets are nice. Not a big fan of the newer ones. I don't like the ones that like they lean too hard in making it into a supercar. Like with the I remember the Corvettes from when I was a kid. Oh. Yeah. Because yeah, this stuff, like they're LARPing as Ferrari, they're LARPing as Lamborghini, they're LARPing as Ferrari. I like this when everything was when it was when it was like a no frills kind of sexy styled roadster. This with the Coke bottle design. It's all lost here. They try to make it too much like the Ford GT or and for a time, like I guess the only time when this is really welcome was when the Dodge Viper was out, which was I haven't seen a Dodge Viper in real life, honestly. Like these were nice. This isn't necessarily the era I'm in of cars or automotive I'm interested in, but this is like I remember seeing this in a lot of racing games and in a lot of video games, and I thought this was nice. It was nice to see Dodge do like a high-powered car that wasn't a Demon, that wasn't a Hellcat or something like that. It wasn't a Charger or a Challenger, but it was something. It was something a bit more. It was unique. It was still American, but it had a little bit more European in styling, with the kind of like the Mercedes of the time, but it was a lot. It was, yeah, knockoff RX-7, yeah. Sure. It reminds me more of the what is it? AMG. Yeah, it reminds me more of this. It reminds me more of this super roadster style from Mercedes. It reminds me more heavily of this style, although the Mercedes is a bit more refined. But this isn't necessarily the era of cars that I'm interested in. Like from the early 70s, this kind of thing from the this was basically an instant classic of its time, and I really like this roadster style that from the era. And I feel like the last good Corvettes were when I was a kid, when I was in the during the 1990s models. Hold on, let me take a bit of food. Hopefully I don't knock off my hopefully this doesn't slide so I can. Yeah, these were nice for the time. I like the it was this tail end that got me really interested in liking Corvettes. Back when I had that, it was a bit more subdued. It was sleek, it was smooth. It didn't try so hard to be aggressive like a lot of the Corvettes that you see now. A lot of the Corvettes that you see now are like really aggressive in styling. This I like. This I prefer because it's a bit more muted. Yeah, that flip. Yeah, back when flip up headlights were still popular. Honestly, I'm not a fan of the flip up headlights. But there are a few cars on this list that I am like gonna look at that do have them. I do prefer the like less garage. Like I prefer exposed headlights overall. Knockoff NSX. I like the NSX because it's made by Honda, and I drive a Honda, so so I'm kind of biased a little bit. But there aren't any Hondas on here. Actually, going back to the era that I was like interested in, probably like let's get a few more Japanese cars in here. Because I like because this was meant to be the kind of knockoff Mustang of its time. You can really see it in the tail, and aesthetically speaking, I just love it could be American. Like the front end is very reminiscent of what you would see in a lot of Detroit manufacturers. You don't like flip ups unsubbed. There is the Iraqo has them, and the reason. But going back to the Celica, I think this is what caught my eye with the Celica because I'm a really big fan of the Mustang rear taillights, and like it's reflected really hard with the Celica. That's in Cars 2, very American. I really like the besides the Celica, the Nissan Fairlady. Nissan. No, not this one. Not that one. The original, yeah, this original style with the European Roadster type. This is probably like one of my favorite cars from my favorite Japanese cars. Honestly, it has that it has that very look of the era, very 1970s, but it's I think my dad was watching Tokyo Vice, and I remember Ken Watanabe's character has one of these. It's so much nicer in person. I saw one around my neighborhood before. I've seen one in person. They like the American export versions a few times, and they are just really nice to look at. I just love these more like less I wish car like yeah, sure, all of these have a place, and a lot of my friends who are into cars are into like the more high-end modern stuff, like the most aggressive stuff that you see on the market. But I honestly love this more subdued look that you see on a lot of older cars from the 1970s. And you really saw that like from my nostalgia as a kid, I liked a lot of American cars of the era. My neighbor has a Camaro from maybe 2010 or so, or like 2009, that I was interested in, that I really like, because for what it's worth, I don't think this is that bad. It looks a little too futuristic, especially with the larger grille. But I like it's like I said, it's less aggressive than this. It's less aggressive styling. It's more laid back. It's more smooth. I love JDM cars, so I go to any JDM car meets I can. There's a big drifting event I go to every year. Got to see two Truanos do a drift battle, so it was really cool. Oh, that's got to be really nice. I've only gone to one or two car shows in my life, and the first one when I was a little kid in Miami. When I like, a lot of them were like Shelby Mustangs, which is kind of where I developed, like, partially developed my love for the Mustang as a platform. But going back to like what influenced me as a kid was probably this because when I was a kid, I was like, my dad showed me a lot of James Bond movies. I'm still into Bond today. I'm probably gonna cover it in like a film freak out or a reader's rant stream. But it was the big horse Mustang of the era that was featured in Diamonds Are Forever. It's not a good movie, but I love the car and I love the movie anyway. So like this is pro like in a and ironically, it wasn't the Aston Martin that was my introduction to James Bond as a car. It was this one. It was this Mustang. And this was like acquired when Bond goes to the US, goes in to Las Vegas. Haha, insert Fallout New Vegas reference here. But there were a couple of notable exceptions though. In this installment of Rob's Mood Muscle, we're gonna look at one. The cars in the Bond movies are of the European luxury and sports car varieties. It's only this and the AMC Hornet from The Man with the Golden Gun that I really like, the one that does the flip. And so yeah, it was this style, which is really alien to a lot of the original Mustang style. It didn't have the separated headlights from the grille. As you can see, it didn't have that separate. It was of this big I don't know how quite to call it, but you could see this with the with the Charger of the era, and same with the AMC Javelin, which I think was inspired by this car. But the big I love from cars mostly came from the Need for Speed games, especially Most Wanted. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the Fast and Furious movies as a kid because I really got to watch them, but I played a lot of the video games, whether it be arcade or mobile, because I didn't really have that much ways of getting a racing game on. So that was nice for me when I got to play those. But it was like I remember specifically in during the Argentina episode of Top Gear, Jeremy Clarkson calls out this specific Mustang, this specific style, the big horse, the big yeah, like from this era, because no, I'm not doxing, but I remember it calls out this specific era. He calls it out specifically because they just wanted to make the Mustang bigger. They wanted to make it from a pony car to a big horse car, I guess so to speak. And so they just did it by extending the bodywork. They didn't make the engine bigger. They didn't make any of the parts bigger. They just decided to they just decided to make the car bigger, and they did that. I'm not gonna pull up that specific episode of Top Gear because um people watched it. People watched it and she got copyright struck by the BBC really hard. So I won't do that, but I will look at like but I remember because this was Hammond's car during the Patagonia special of Top Gear. And he specifically calls it out because there's a lot of space under the hood that could have been used for extra parts or extra he could have put a supercharger in there, and I think he did. There was a supercharged one. But they could have made the engine bigger, but they stuck with a small block V8, and they just made a lot of empty space under here, which is a shame. But it was this movie that really got me into Mustangs, especially in that style. Because it's very 70s. It's very early 70s of the era. I do want to do a mechanical marvels on the Malaise era of the of American cars. That is coming up. I am inviting a friend on at some point, but that's still in the works. The Hero car is a Cobra Jet V8 with a C6 automatic transmission. It's equipped with a Mach 1 sports interior package. Yeah, you see those old carburetors there, the old radiators here. And I think that, like, for its time, it was interesting because they were dealing with, I'm pretty sure, crowded streets during this movie. But you could see it because, like, especially of the era, I love how, like, in the from the 60s to the 80s, you could see how big, like, how big the American cars were of the time. You watch Terminator, you watch the Blues Brothers. All the cars were so big, and I just like that because there was a distinctive style to them. You instantly knew this car has to be American. It's too big. It's too big to be true. And there was that stunt. But I like the this is what got me into them. Owners Carlisle marked 50 years for the 1971 to 73 Big Horse Mustangs. This still had the distinctive Mustang grille instead of the more open with these two indicator lights. Yeah, when the curtain rose on the 71 Mustang, the world beyond the proscenium had irrevocably changed. Federal rules regarding safety and emissions were tightening. More critically, rapidly rising insurance premiums were suffocating the sales of high-performance automobiles. But if any of this was foreseen in the spring of 1967, when planning for the 71 Mustang began, it certainly wasn't considered. Yeah, and this was the Mustang, like the style of Mustang that was featured in the movie. I like the fastbacks more than the more conventional ones. But if you're looking for a more conventional style with like the semi hatchback, um, I feel like the Mustang 2 or the Cobra 2 was a better look on the car. You can see how much space there is between the grill and the engine, which was called out on Top Gear. Admittedly, I'm not well versed in mechanics. I've loved cars. I've loved the aesthetics. I've loved the style. I've loved riding in them. I've loved driving them. But I'm not very well versed on the mechanical side of things. So I mostly go for them for looks, which is why I love which is kind of why I love Malaise era cars, honestly, because they were the most beautiful of the cars of the time. in my opinion, the most beautiful. And like they had that elaborate 50s styling, but it was a little bit more focused, more subdued. None of the more minimalist of the 60s and the 80s. And you could see I like possibly my other favorite color for the Mustang would be this pine green. Mach 1 grill, lights and scoops. The milder mannered Mustangs for luxury models, the popular Grande model, returned for its cloth seats, faux wood interior paneling, and deluxe exterior trim. Um, I prefer the more like cloth seats, although the leather looks good. The synthetic leather looks good, and I like the interior looks really nice as well. But for what it's worth, I feel like this is best on the this specific style is best on the fastback and not necessarily the hatchbacks or the conventional styles. The sports roof version, that bunky so beguiled, yeah, the heart, it was this specific model that really caught my attention as a kid. This specific the one on the bottom because it was so angled, it was so sleek in my opinion I really like that. And I think this was also from the movie from what I remember. I think there are models that do look like Mustangs. So you had that. Hold on, it's raining outside. So you did have that style. You had that. It was aggressive, but it was still sleek. It still had that. And that this I don't like how how harshly the roof angles down isn't really my thing. But I do like the scoops on the intakes. That's a welcome addition on a lot of them. And yeah, Bond's favorite pony. This was what caught my attention as a kid. But possibly the car that I featured most on this channel besides the Hilux, which is basically for the besides the Hilux, which is basically for the early mechanical Marvel streams because I was covering technicals, was where is it? Yeah, this one, the 1977 Mercury Cougar XR7. It's not a good car. It's not a very good car, but for what it's worth, it's a very pretty car. And hold on, let me pull up because which stream was it that I pulled it up on? Hold on. It was yeah, this one, Film Freakout, No Hard Feelings. When I was attempting to write like an outline or a movie pitch for a road romance movie, like the featured car ended up being the XR7 because especially in this pine green style because it looked very official. It was a land yacht of the time. It was very much a land yacht at the time. And this general style I like it. To a lot of people this does look boring, but to me this is probably my dream aesthetic for a lot of cars, for a lot of styles for basically everything. I feel everyone focuses on the 1980s because a lot of interesting media came out during the time. Culturally speaking, because everyone prefers the 80s, but honestly the 70s has a distinct appeal that I feel goes underappreciated a lot. And I remember the very specific reason that it chose the XR7 coupe is the version that had bench seats, that had the connected seats because the characters would get intimate here. I am very proud of writing that in. I feel like that was a good decision to include in the story. But it was that specific it was that specific. No, not this one had this one had the bucket seats. Yeah, this version, the Cougar Club of America, the luxury Mercury Cougars, when it had the bench seats, it didn't have the separating portion in between. And honestly, the because the Mercury Cougar was funny enough was itself in another Bond movie, but it was the later models that caught my eye. Because this was it's bigger, it was bigger than the Mustang of its time, it was bigger than a lot of cars, a lot of like, I think one of the bigger ones that Ford had on offer besides the Lincoln Continental. And let me look at the commercial for the old ones. Let's let's restart that. My stream is right there. Yeah, it's very American. It featured skeet shooting. This was the bottle from the Bond movie. It was the other one was in red too.
Cougar, if you're man
See the man's car, your Mercury dealer. I just love how like I just love that style. Like honestly, like a lot of the aesthetics of the time is really goes really underappreciated. Oh, this is like a compares to the Monte Carlo and the Grand Prix.
Cougar is on the move. The move up to a whole new class. The same size class as last year's Monte Carlo and Grand Prix, but only in size. For 74, Mercury Cougar is in a class by itself in luxury and elegance. Because
They wanted to make it really fancy, and they went for that more elaborate grille style with the exposed headlights
Cougar is
and all
like
that.
nobody else's car. Deep plush bucket seats.
My bad, this wasn't exposed. These were garage door concealed
Because
headlights.
Cougar is like nobody else's car. Deep plush bucket seats. Stylish new dash with hooded gauges set in padded vinyl. Even an optional moonroof. Cougar is on the move.
Optional moonroof. Basically, all cars come with like a sunroof nowadays.
Flaunting a new grille. Steel-belted radios, standard. The elegant look of a new opera window framed by a Landau roof. Mercury Cougar moved
Says
up
in
into
the-
a whole new size class for 74. Because we thought this much luxury
Like nobody else's.
deserves a little more room. At the sign of the cat.
A lot of the ones that I'm featuring are from Ford Motor Group, honestly. And this was the Farrah Fawcett. Yeah, this one.
Prime Big Deal
Oh,
Days is
damn it.
coming. Shop
Shut
epic
up.
deals and feel
Shut up, Jeff Bezos. I don't want to hear from you. And
Hey, look. New action for the cat set. Our new symbol of driving excitement.
I just had to show up the name Cougar every time. Oh man.
Bold, aggressive.
I know, like even with the how bad the video quality was back then, you could really appreciate the gloss and the bodywork of the car.
Richly luxurious. And now there are more Cougars to excite you. Handsome four-door Bromes, ride engineered by
The four doors are nice. And they would be more practical than the coupes, but the coupe is the one that I featured on like in my stream as like kind of the hero car of the couple.
Lincoln Mercury. Sporty Cougar wagons, fresh from the
Okay, not
layer of
necessarily.
yards of cargo space. Trim two-door hardtops, smartly styled,
Yeah,
smartly priced tops. Smart
It was it was this specific. I think yeah, the two-door hardtop is the one that I featured.
Smartly styled, smartly priced. At $47.91 with V8, automatic transmission, power brakes and steering, even steel-belted radials. Come on, join the cat set. Catch a Cougar of your own. They're all different, yet they're all Cougars. More Cougar than ever before. At the sign of the cat.
But yeah, that was I just love the aesthetics of the era that which like it really caught my eye of like of everything is understated of the Malaise era, but everything is so out there. But if we're looking for like pure performance, this was probably the best of the era, the 1972-1973 era, simply because it wasn't before Ford had to downsize all their engines for the Malaise era for safety and emissions regulation and for less fuel consumption, which really affected the negatively affected the performance of so many of these cars. If you're looking for if you're looking for style, you should go for the older ones, but these still have their own charm. These really do, in my opinion. And I think that's enough. That's enough filleting Ford. There is another, like for European, for well, on the topic of filleting Ford, I still do like a lot of the roadsters from the 60s and the 50s have their charm. And when it comes to the AC Cobra with the Shelby Cobra, I like the versions with the grill, with the that silver grill more than the exposed like front end grill, because I feel like it gives a face to the car, gives a proper face to the car, so the car's not just like hogging. So the car isn't soy jack pointing. It looks nice, but I do like the version with like the teeth grill better. I was gonna look at the Mustang Shelbys, but I feel like I've looked at enough Mustangs and Fords. The something that, like I just realized I am covering a lot of cars that I saw from Bond movies, but this was another one that I really liked, which is the Alfa Romeo GTV6. I've never seen one in person. I've seen one in movies. I've never played with it in a racing game, but I've seen it in movies and I've seen it on the Grand Tour. So that's where I've kind of like where it got my attention. I just like the hatchback. This was Giugiaro, I think. This was made by Giugiaro. Hold on. I think what? Yeah, Giugiaro. Giugiaro. Automotive designer who, like, this is the guy who designed a lot of things. Alfa Romeo, the Maserati Merak. This was he did the DeLorean and the Lotus Esprit. This guy was insane. Like a lot of the cars that I should have looked at the De Tomaso ones, because those are really nice as well, and those are like a really underrated Italian supercar maker. I think I put either a Mangusta or a Pantera on the thumbnail for my Italy video, for when I went on vacation in Italy. Hold on, let me retrieve it. No, it's in it. I'm blocking it. I'm blocking the so I can't make out exactly what it was. But this guy did everything. It's just so funny that like he had a distinct style, but you could see it in he made guns too. He made the Beretta Neos and the CX4 Storm. But this guy made everything, and I just find it so funny that you could see his style, like the wedge style, in basically everything. But it's very Italian, and developed the new pasta shape. This guy made a Giugiaro made everything. Holy shit! But speaking of things I don't think he did develop, hold on. Designer Marcello Gandini. He didn't do this one. This is another Chevy. But when it comes to Italian cars and like on the more cheaper side, I feel, well, not necessarily cheaper, but less supercar, more sports car. But the GTV6 is really caught my eye as It's this really pleasant looking car that I don't know how to say it because it was a coupe. It looks like it's worthy of being a sedan. It looks subdued, but it looks really fast. I'm using the word subdued a lot because in style because stylistically, oh wow, that's a beautiful looking engine. Because you could take it was very it's versatile. You could take it to work. You could take it sporting. You could race it around a track. You could do basically everything with this car, and it was very evocative of European stylings at the time. It was very evocative, and especially with the rear end, which oh no, with the rear end, which is really where you could see that you could see a lot of the distinct styling, that distinct European styling that you got. And then there was Alfa Romeo as a South African homologation hero. I wasn't aware of that it was so present in South Africa. For the most part, I think they might have covered it in the last Grand Tour. Was rare Afro-Italian beast in the past, Crosley and Webb. Yeah, it was this specific rear end that with a certain angle, with a certain hatchback angle that you got. Like hot hatches used to be really pretty in the past. They're less pretty. Like I still like them now, but they're less pretty. And this was the it had more red on it, less plastic bumpers compared to the last one. And you can see you can see how good it looks here in different colors. And I did find yeah, well, I won't look at that one. I will look at this one. Hopefully I won't be like a copy struck. Speaking of the Grand Tour, a lot
You join me on a
I
bit of
like
a
a lot of
random
Drive Tribes videos, but sometimes they turn out to be clickbait. Hopefully this isn't one of them.
We're at Jeremy Clarkson's farm in Chipping Norton, and we're actually here to film at the Diddley Squats farm shop for Food Tribe, a video with Jeremy. But I thought while we're here, let's take advantage of the situation and film with potentially his most prized possession, his Alfa Romeo GT-V6. Now hopefully I'm going to be able to drive it and take a look at it and see what makes it so special.
The handprint.
So we are here for the farm shop, and you'll be able to see that video on Food Tribe. But we've got both Jeremy's cars down here. I say
The
both.
Excellent is
He's
there.
got the Excellent, he's got the Alpha, and then he's got a couple of Range Rovers. He's got a Vogue that he kicks about the farm on, and then one I think he's got for London. But these are his two official cars. What a two-car garage. People expect him to have Ferraris, 4GTs, all the
I think Clarkson sold off a lot of his cars before he started the farm.
supercars he had back in the Top Gear days. People think he may have kept up that. Maybe he's got a new 4GT, but no. He gets so many press cars and drives so many cars on the job that he just doesn't need to do that. So these are his two babies. Even when covered in farm dust, this is still one of the prettiest cars ever made. What a thing. It may not
Hold on,
this
yeah.
is still one of the
Yeah, this is one of the better angles with that wagon spoke wheels.
prettiest cars ever made. What
It's just a good looking interior. It's a good looking car. And compared to a lot of people might compare it to the Porsches of the era. But I like it with something different. And in the States, unless you're a major car enthusiast, Alfa Romeo isn't necessarily it's not the most well-liked car in the States. Like most if you're buying European or foreign, most people will go German. You see it when you're buying European, a lot my parents were big on Japanese cars. Well, like I am. I was raised in a Honda. Um, but my dad and my mom both got into for God only knows why BMWs because my dad drove a BMW which spectacularly failed on us one day when it lasted a long time but it did not last. It wasn't in any drivable condition I remember as a little kid, we in 2012, I think we bought that BMW sedan, and then one day, several maybe a couple years ago, it just failed. It literally left my dad stranded on the side of the road. We had to go and rescue him, and and I begged him, please don't get another BMW. That's gonna happen to you again someday, especially with how expensive it was to repair. And European cars are hard to source parts for. Japanese cars and of course American cars are a lot more common here, but a lot just people just want their Beamers. People want their and you have that Beamer joke. Yeah, my mom's a Beamer driver. She's a woman and she's Asian. So surely that's a good combination. It's not. But yeah, like Alfa Romeo is a really underrated brand in the United States unless you're into cars. So it's
It
nice to
may not be
see
transient to the Highlands
especially
of Scotland, but even down at Diddley Squat, it's a serious looker. I had a GTV of my own, one of the much later ones that met a bit of a sticky end. Even my later car had constant problems, so I imagine Jeremy has had to sink some extra cash into it since the Grand Tour episode aired. But who cares really, when it looks this good and sounds even better. So this is a slightly surreal position to be in. I am sitting in
it doesn't have the best interior because if you're into technology from the 70s, which I am,
JC's
but I
Alfa
feel like it's not necessarily the
Romeo
best interior to look
GTV.
at.
Or
Everything is very
in
boxy. It's very,
JC.
but it's still very analog. You get that. It looks like a watch. It looks like the dashboard reminds me of those what is it? Those like Casio electronic watches. 1979. Like that's what it reminds me of. It's not digital, but it reminds me of one of these one of those watches.
Alfa Romeo
Okay, I'm back.
GTV. Watched the Grand Tour episode last night up in Scotland, and now I get to drive it. Not too bad. You join me about 2 hours later, and it hasn't exactly gone to plan. I got permission to drive this car from Jeremy's girlfriend, and I did. I drove it down to the farm shop to go film down there. But it turns out
And I feel
I
like
did not
a lot of the photos, it looks better here than the African ones because this had the black style the black sidings on them. I feel, and I think if it looks like the rear was partially raised, I like it better here with the
permission
there's less sidings, less bumpers on it.
from Jeremy himself.
It might have been a lower performance variant, but
it turns out I
it does
did
like
not
I feel like this best accentuates the lines of the car. And in a lot of cases, a body kit honestly like I'm not sure if it increases performance or not, but in my opinion, a lot of body kits ruin the exterior look of a lot of cars, especially sports cars especially sports cars from the era, like a period era from earlier times, and even now current day ones, because there is a certain luxury and pleasure in owning a simple,
not
normal
have
factory
permission
spec
from
car.
Jeremy himself. He is of the mindset that he's very much the only person that drives this car and no one else. So, sorry Jeremy, hands up. Didn't mean any harm. But we have the car now, so let's take a look around it. It is covered in crap, but it's a farm car. We're on an active farm right now, so it's going to be a bit mucky. But yeah, let's look around this Grand Tour legend. You guys will probably remember from the episode that Jeremy got this from an 83-year-old man who was the only owner before Jeremy, and he got it at 26,000 miles, and it's on 27,500. So if you include that Scotland road trip, he's probably not done that much mileage in and around here.
Meanwhile, my car is like 20,000 miles on
He
it.
got the car for 10 grand, and at the end of the episode, he
Yeah,
revealed
this
he
really
spent
bet like
8 grand.
without the unnecessary additional additional body kits that you see here. It really looks better with the It really looks better without the extra lines on it.
fixing everything that was wrong with it, especially the prop shaft. One thing you would expect on a car of this age is some rust, especially in the arches and the sills, but it looks completely clean. For a 25, or should I say 35-year-old car, he's done all right. Inside is just as clean as the outside. The guy that owned this car before Jeremy must have really enjoyed looking after this car. It is pretty much pristine inside, all original. It looks fantastic.
I appreciate the like probably how good the leather might feel, but in my opinion, the leather on the wheel kind of ruins the aesthetic of the interior. That's supposed to be a simple electronic.
Feels like it's pointing to the ceiling. You're almost like a bus driver driving it. The pedals are all over the place, and when I drove it, I daren't move Jeremy's seat. It's as far back as it can go for his 6'5" frame, so I was kind of tiptoeing all the pedals, but I didn't want to move it. One of the things this car is most famous for is its dodgy gearbox, especially trying to engage second and third gear. It's very tricky, but I was told by Jeremy's girlfriend, if you just take it slowly, slot it in, you'll be absolutely fine. Apparently, Jeremy crunches it every single time. I'm guessing that's to be expected. What this car is really about is this. It's 2.5 litre V6.
V6.
Now, Jeremy managed to get over the sound of this car in that episode amazingly up in Scotland. It is one of the smoothest engines you will ever come across. I got it to maybe 4,000 RPM in third gear on the way down to the shop.
I've never, like, again, repeating, I've never seen a lot of the cars that I'm gushing about in real life. I have seen a Nissan Fairlady before. I have seen a lot of classic Mustangs. I've never seen an Alfa Romeo GT V6 in real life.
But my
because they're just, I feel like they're just not very common in the States.
It's almost like a 5-cylinder, an inline 5, it warbles. It's not actually as pretty as the later Alfa V6s. The Busso V6s had chrome exhaust manifolds, and it was transverse. It was just such a pretty engine. This isn't quite on par with that, but it more than makes up for it with the sound. I can understand exactly why Jeremy bought this car. He's an engine guy. He goes for cars with engines that are quirky, have some cool history, or just sound amazing. It's a similar reason to why I bought my Mondeo S.
There's that non-interrupted line of the hatch that really catches the eye.
More affordable scale. That was for its V6, and when a car has an engine like this, you can drop down a gear, give it some revs, and it'll put a bigger smile on your face than some supercars will. Clarkson once said that the one...
In honesty, I feel like that's what I value a lot from cars too, even though I haven't driven very many of them, especially, and I've only driven one of them at speed, which is my own personal Honda. And which is also a large car, so to speak. I'll give details on that. But there's a because the VTEC, it's funny because you have to wait for the VTEC to kick in for it to actually start revving. It's not very fast, but I love the car anyway. But at the same time, it's made me feel like I value responsiveness from the car, mechanical responsiveness from pushing down the gas pedal, seeing the responsiveness and the rev go higher. That's made me value it more because I don't have it on my own car. I value being a bit more nimble. I don't have that on my own car because it's quite a large car. And responsiveness from the steering, which again, I don't always have on my own car.
Car he most regretted selling when he was younger was a GT V6. So I think he put together that Scottish Grand Tour special so that he could have an excuse to buy one of these cars again. And let's hope he keeps this car for many, many years to come.
The world's cheapest 911 to his workshop. But yeah, I think that's what I really like. That's probably one of my. A lot of the lines sometimes get ruined, but I do like that is the kind of car that I was looking at. But I'm trying to remember the Hold on, let me go try and remember the what was the car that I put on the Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a. Oh, it was. It was in fact a Lamborghini Espada that I put on the thumb that I concealed behind myself. That I put on the thumbnail of the. I put on the thumbnail of my of my other video, of my Italy trip video, my Italy vacation video. Again, because I feel like this one caught my attention because it looks like it's so long. The back end is so long, the front end is so long as well. You look like you're driving a boat. It looks like a boat in this image, which I really appreciate. It's I know a lot of Dodges get flack because people make fun of them for driving boats, but this looks more like a boat than anything. And honestly, I love it. It had that this distinct style of grill that you saw in a lot of American cars, but the rest of the car was so very much aggressively European, very Italian. Four-seater GT. Yeah, it was a GT2 plus two. The back end is so long, and I love it. It's so long and distinctly curved, and that's a really nice tail end, distinctive glass panel, early taillights and twin exhausts. This just looks really nice, honestly. You see this and you know that's gonna be a pretty car. Even the interior looks like a boat. This the gear shift looks more like a throttle on a boat, and I love it. It's so much of its time that I really there's so much to look at and appreciate. It shares that in common with the Alfa Romeo. It looks longer than it should be, but it makes it look better. Like again, it looks longer than it should be with this rear end, with this extended rear end with the hatch, but it makes it look a lot better because you have that false door here with the rear window, and like you can manage to stuff more people in the back seat, but honestly I feel like the back seat is best there to store your luggage, to store stuff like that. Oh, hold on, I'm getting a call. I'm gonna be right back. Yeah, that was a call from my dad, just good letting me know how he was doing. But anyway, so semi monocoque chassis, huh? I've never really seen like you always see a lot of what is it, frame on body unibody? I'm not as familiar with the chassis with chassis styles as I should be. Engine based on Giotto Barazzini's original design for that. And I feel like a lot of older Lamborghinis that aren't the Countach or the what is it? What is that? The most expensive Lamborghini of all time. It was no, it's not any of these. It's the Lamborghini Miura SV. This was the besides, like, you see this in a lot of record books. I saw this. I was introduced to it by the Guinness Book of World Records. Yeah, the most expensive. I think, like, I remember. I think this was like the most expensive car sold at auction at some point. And it looks nice. It looks really nice. But don't get me wrong. But I feel like I feel like a lot of older Lamborghinis, especially the Espada, is underappreciated. Um, the Lamborghini Espada. I feel like it really was underappreciated for its time, for what it's worth. Oh, I like that silver. I like that silver. Honestly, in my opinion, the silver on basically any sports car or like muscle car, silver always looks good. It looks a lot classier than black in some cases, and black and silver are like the universal car colors that make everything that make everything look good, in my opinion. This is nice. Like the brighter colors can be nice to look at. They're flashier, but uh, the silver never fails to look good on any car, in my opinion. Unless it's a cheaper car where you can't get the finish good, you can't like the silver will always be a good bet on like the best car color. I like my reds. I like my greens. V12 engine increased to 4 liters. 4 adults, high-end finishes, abundance of leather. Yeah, we saw with that interior. I just love how it's so overly technical. I love it. It looks so old. Everything is so complicated, but I like that. It's very evocative of the era, which I like to say a lot when it comes to these cars. But then again, it just looks so good. You could really imagine sitting in that seat and you're driving this massive car and you're just piloting it. You feel more like you're piloting it with that control panel. The Espada was the fastest 4-seater car in the world, characterized by a squared off with a mini bar and Brion Vega television, and the most sought after versions by Espada collectors. Well, I guess this isn't one. Jay Leno, Paul McCartney. Yeah, it looks so good in silver. And this is what I miss on a lot of cars. It's just like this simplistic look, and I'm glad a lot of manufacturers are going back to that style. Now this one I like because it was introduced to me on via Top Gear, also by Top Gear. But like this was James May's cars this is from Budget Supercars, which I consider to be like one of the best Top Gear segments because it's all available on YouTube and posted to the BBC channel, which I'm not gonna. Again, I can't watch. I don't think I can watch anything directly from Top Gear because people got copy struck by the fucking BBC during that. But I ended up But in my opinion, the Budget Supercars episode is probably the better. You see, this is what I don't like about body kits, especially with that lower end. It just doesn't look good. It ruins a lot of the lines of the car, in my opinion. You know, with this rally kit, a lot of rally cars look amazing, but on this one, Like it would be interesting to drive, but it doesn't look as good as the conventional version, the Forgotten Lamborghini. In my opinion, this is the best looking one of the budget supercars that were featured on Top Gear. Lamborghini Urraco. Again, I don't like the flip up headlights, which is why I prefer the Espada, but it's just such a good looking car regardless because it was clean. It was nice. It was sleek, and like you get that nice back end and the little bull. That's what they called. Now collector's item. The Rocco was a brainchild of Ferruccio Lamborghini himself. V8 engine, single overhead camshaft. I'm not technical enough to know how to interpret that. But I love the silver. I love the silver on this car. And I think it just like I said, silver is an underrated color for a lot of supercars. The budget supercar is because it had that nice clean back end, it had the nice clean front end, and it was that wedge that looked good. Ferrari Dino, Maserati Merak, and the Porsche 911. This was the one driven by Richard Hammond, and this was the one driven by Clarkson in that episode. Lamborghini Silhouette and the Lamborghini Jalpa. But going back to American cars, this is probably my other like if you made me pick a non-Ford favorite muscle car, it'd probably be the Chevelle. I'm not the biggest fan of the Camaro, unless it was maybe the older variants. Okay, this isn't my thing. But if you made me pick a GM, excuse me. You see, my point. This is like, admittedly, I don't like the racing stripes, but if you took that out and you kept it with the you kept it with the plain silver, you get like an amazing looking car. This is pretty. This is really pretty as well. Oh my gosh, the that grayish green color on the on it, because it was a bit larger than the Camaro, I feel, but it's got so much cleaner lines. I like the angled front that you don't really get on. I think that was a distinct style by GM, but it's just very good looking. I think this was also in a Buick, but this is like the classic. This black with the white stripes is probably like the basic formula for the Chevelle. Yeah, the Chevy Malibu. This is the original Malibu. Story behind why it's so great. That's 9 minutes. And there's also the. I was trying to look for a nice sedan that wasn't the Cougar. So I looked up the Impala, and this is the Sport Coupe. This is, I think, from what I remember, I feel like this was one of the this was also 1967. What was it? 1969. This is the nah, I don't like the this silhouetted, like this slightly silhouetted headlights, which you could see better on you could see them, I feel, a bit better on the, unless I'm tripping out, and this is the same exact model. Hold on, 1971 four-door. So it is the same. Yeah, this was the like the pit mobiles of the time. You see pit mobiles. You can see unironic pit mobiles sometimes here in South Florida, which are a sight to see, which are a real sight to see. Most of the time, I prefer when the wheel arches are the same height, with exceptions like the Hudson Hornet. But for what it's, but I don't think it's like that bad on this one. 1975. Yeah, it doesn't. It didn't really change, did it? It didn't really. It didn't really change that much throughout. Oh, these are nice. Because I'm a big Fallout nerd. A lot of the '50s cars, just like and just like for what they are, a lot of '50s cars just look so good. And I love that distinctive from from Chevys of the time, that V and the big grill. This would have looked better as a mostly because of the toys I had as a kid, but this would have looked better as a four-door in my opinion. Oh yeah, there's this one. This is what I think I was trying to look for, with the big wing. With the wings at the back. This is more subdued, less elaborate. I think because I think I had a toy of this as a kid. Maybe I was wrong, but it just really looks yeah, with the four door, it just looks really nice. A little bit weird, a little bit garish, but that's what these cars are about. I think it's the simplicity of the Super Sport Coupe. The simplicity of the later versions. And Chevy Impala SS. Yeah, this is these are nice. I think this is what I was looking for. The Gen 4 the Gen 4 versions. Arlington, Texas. So yeah, this the really simplistic front end with the big grill, which I really like. This was this is probably the silhouette of what most people would think of as the quintessential American car. I feel this is what you would get if when you search that up. It's not the most distinctive, but it is the most it is one of the more pretty. It is one of the better styled looking ones, in my opinion. Like there is beauty in conventionality sometimes, and I feel like the Chevy Impala, because it looks like a lot of other American cars of its time. But looking at it now, independently, as just as a guy in the 2020s, looking back to a car from the 1960s, this was the, like, if you ask someone what an American car would look like even nowadays, they'd probably answer something like this, because a lot of cars have become so homogenized. I mean, a lot of American and Japanese cars look similar when it comes to consumer automotive. You can really, like, even the trucks look the same. You're only getting some level of variation from European brands, and like even then, a lot of the smaller compact cars from European brands look the same as well. Look similar to their, like, a lot of cars from Citroën and Peugeot look like a lot like Kias and Nissans, or that look similar. And I feel like a lot of cars have become so homogenized. Again, it was that way back then. A lot of cars that back then looked and acted similar, but it was. But like when countries had distinct styles, it was of a time when countries had distinct styles, and I feel like the Chevy Impala best illustrates what a quintessential American car would look like from the era. And even now, if you showed someone this car without any of the badges, without any of the logos, and they didn't know what they couldn't tell a Chevy from a Ford, or they couldn't USA One, see America's first. That's beautiful. But if you show someone this car, If you should like this would be like and like they would instantly recognize this is an American car. This is very much an American car. And that's what I really liked. Black four-door version feature a nickname Baby is on the CW's television show Supernatural. I watched a little bit of that sometimes when I was younger. Like I didn't really care for it because I still am rather religious and it did tread on it did cover topics that I'd rather not watch about, but I think they're whatever. I'm rambling. It's not important. When it comes to GMs, I feel because I've featured a lot of Fords. It was possibly my favorite car as a little kid. Is the like of which I had toys of. No, it was not. It wasn't this one. Yeah, it was the Pontiac Firebird, which was the it was a pony car. It was meant to compete with the Mustang. I remember my toy of it was white. It was plain white. It wasn't it didn't have the Thunderbird logo or the Firebird logo. It was just plain white. The toy that I had as a kid, and yeah, it was like this. It was like this one. I remember it had that distinctive profile, and it looks small, it looks compact, but it still had that aura of that aggressive American aura about it that I really appreciate. Let's feel that I've that lightning strike was very close. But anyway, moving on. Ram Air 2. But for what it's worth, because I haven't seen Smokey and the Bandit, but I do have a level of fondness for the Trans Am version. It looks a little bit too hard out there in black. I still prefer it in white, but I am very fond of no, not that one. I am very fond of the split grill. That looks like like a fighter jet's air intake. And you have this style, and you have the distinct rear taillights as well. Pontiac Fire. Trans Am 1977. What's the 1982 version? Yeah, it still looks good. I think I've seen this. Yeah, this is Kit. This was from another 80s show. I remember seeing this in the parking lot of like one of my colleges being driven around, which was really nice. It's a very pretty car. But the 1977 and the 1968 version, I prefer more in white. Yeah, that's a little bit too much. The Firebird logo, but it still had that aggressive style, which I like. But I like the more muted 1968. Yeah, I like the more muted curves of this one. What's that terminology? Coke bottle styling. It was yeah, Joe Irish. 1971 Pontiac Firebird is the sweetest looking car. Yeah. Um, was it? Oh, hold on. Trans Am 1971. In my opinion, I'm not like it's not I like the rear end. I like because this was kept for the 1977 Trans Am version. But I'm not a big fan of the big like sniffing nose front end in my opinion. I feel like that's what I didn't like on the early Camaro. I feel like that's what I didn't like on this one. It's the bigger headlights and They do look good. And funny enough, I saw one of these in Italy, of all places. Like I was just surprised that there was an American car enthusiast in the middle of Italy, in the EU, in it of itself. But there was and honestly, like the split grill for me on this one doesn't really work. Like, but I can see why people like it because it does go hard. It does go pretty hard. Pontiac needs to be over the top. They do. They really do, but I do like the more muted curves of the 1960s version. Of the second, third, and fourth generation. So it's not covering the first gen. Yeah, I like the first gen a lot because again, I had it as a toy as a kid, which is what I really appreciated. But yeah, it was the Coke bottle styling is an automotive body design with a narrow center surrounded by flaring fenders. Design element bears in general resemblance of a Coca-Cola class bottle. Studebaker Avanti. I can't really see it as much here. And it looks like it looks almost like an electric car because there's no grill, there's no intake. There's no grill to the car. Buick Riviera. I feel like the sides on this one is too aggressive. I do like is the Cadillac Coupe de Villa, which I was looking for. Buick Riviera 1975. This was nah. This is well too far into the Malaise era. Yeah, this one I like the Riviera from 1975. Not necessarily the boat tail. Although this was what Richard Hammond drove in that in the Grand Tour. Um although hold on, I'm trying to find the where I also gained a lot of love for cars. Um drivers of wait what? Well, again, I'm probably looking too hard at gaming journos, but hold on. I gotta look at this. I gotta look at this, man. So publishers actively working on other exciting projects related to the franchise. Actually set to premiere on Binge has been canceled. So I'm not now. I'm not gonna. So Driver is back apparently. Hopefully the game won't be bad. It probably will. But I'm trying to find the I played this. I played a mobile port of this game. I'm trying to remember what the protagonist's car was. Um, I'm trying to find the was it Driver One, Driver You're the Real Man. Four cities: San Francisco, Miami, San Francisco, LA, New York City. I'm trying to find the list of cars in this, like the list of featured cars. Um, I'm trying. I think it was a Buick that he was driving. Oh, it was a Buick Skylark that was that you get to play with in the default car of Miami training in the desert. In the PlayStation version, the Skylark takes design cues from the Chevy Chevelle. On the PC version, design cues on the Oldsmobile Cutlass were taken instead. Second car, a secret car from Chicago. It was the the iOS version. This is what I played with. This is what I played with. I'm trying to look up what era this was from. Like which car reflective. Um, was it 1970? It looks like 1970. Yeah, I think it's the 1970 version. PJ's Auto World. Yeah, this was the 1970. This was the 1970 version with that distinctive, really thin with this really thin with these really thin tail lights. But I like, but this was the I couldn't name it at the top of my head because I remember because they never mentioned what kind of car you get to drive in the game itself. But for what for all that it is, for all that it is, I do think it is. I like it. I had to because I associate this car, the Skylark, with the movie My Cousin Vinny, the that movie with Joe Pesci that my parents like to put on a lot because the protagonist there were also driving a Skylark in mint green. Custom four door. It doesn't look as good when like a four door, but yeah, this does look really good. This especially the hard top with the grill. You can't really see it as well on here, especially because I associate so many different other cars with like Miami. But this is what it'll always be for me. And I remember I think in the other hold on, it was was it the Coupe de Ville? Oh, I'm not hopefully I didn't dox myself. I might have to blur that out. Um hold on, hold on. I might have to oh shit. I'm looking back at stream and I'm hoping I didn't dox. But I'm getting I didn't think it'd be oh shit. I did accidentally dox, but you know I haven't gotten my VTuber model yet. How can I do that? Anyways, we'll continue on. I'm gonna end stream in a bit because I have to cut that out. I have to edit that out. Ah shit. But hold on. Ah shit, I did it again. I didn't think it'd be this one. Vehicles and driver. Oh shit. Cause of these damn ads. These fucking ads. No, it was a Buick Regal. It was a Buick Regal, and I thought it was a Cadillac, not a Chevy Nova. I'll have to cut that out. I'll have to cut that out when I in the VOD. Son of a bitch. Oh, Ford Gran Torino. I've already looked at enough Fords. A pickup coupe. 1974. It was 1978 Buick Regal. Man, I didn't think I'd accidentally dox myself in this stream, but you know what? Whatever. But I like these old retro ads. And this was the car. This was the car in the game. That red one. But yeah, I think I'll end off here. Thank you everyone who came. Thank you Joe Irish and Hallowed for coming on. And Otsu Love, I'll see you next time on streaming Monday. Probably gonna be playing a game or something instead of ranting, but you know what?